Sri Lanka is edging toward debt sustainability, says Central Bank Governor P. Nandalal Veerasinghe ahead of the September 23 policy meeting. In May, the bank cut its policy rate to 7.75%, a move Veerasinghe says was smoothly absorbed, keeping financial systems stable.
What it means is that if we are able to grow over 3%, and like what we see, 4-5% is not a challenge for Sri Lanka to grow in the future, next several, say 5-10 years, which means we should be able to stabilize and reach much more sustainable and comfortable level of debt sustainability much faster than what we think.
Sri Lanka's current optimism contrasts sharply with the 2022-2023 crisis marked by debt default, inflation and shortages. Mass protests led to an IMF bailout and a historic fiscal adjustment of nearly 8% of GDP. The central bank shifted from emergency measures to easing rates and stabilizing inflation. Exports, remittances, and tourism have rebounded, boosting reserves. Debt restructuring and stronger revenue collection have helped surpass mid-year targets.
Going forward, so with the after debt restructuring, external reserves obligations are going to be on average 3.5 to 4 billion for next 10 years. If that is the reserves obligations, compared to the situation we had in the past, if we have say 4 billion reserves obligation, if we have 8 billion in our reserves, so it's quite comfortable level.
Recovery remains in sight and Sri Lanka is steadily rebuilding. It reminds one of Greece, a country that had 3 IMF bailouts of 289 billion euros between 2010 and 2018. It is now one of Europe's fastest growing economies with strong exports, low joblessness, and a regained investment grade status. Greece benefited from European integration. Sri Lanka has benefited from a stable neighbor like India. The Economic Brief, DD India. Well, Dr. Charan Singh is still with us. Dr. Charan Singh, are there still challenges ahead for Sri Lanka? Should they be more cautious than they are optimistic?
Honestly speaking, Sri Lanka is a classic case of good success. They worked hard. They had a very difficult time in 2022. The GDP growth is booming, as you saw. They would have probably done better in 2025 had the budget been presented in time. The GDP growth been good. Inflation is a little higher, around 5%. I think they would like it to be a little lower. The national savings rate is bouncing back, and I think that's also very, very good. And if you look at their current account balance, that's also very good. I think in a country, by the way, the IMF had done their report in July, and they were also very happy after evaluating the performance of Sri Lankan economy. And there were certain things that had to be waived off because certain things were not completed. And those were waived off. That clearly shows that IMF has confidence in the economy of Sri Lanka. Debt restructuring is important. The debt to GDP ratio is still high. And I think that needs to be focused upon. And I think the Sri Lankans are onto it. So therefore, there's nothing very much to worry about. The debt GDP is more than 100%. You know, according to Maastricht Treaty, it should be around 60. The global average is around 80. So I think that is one area where fiscal thing needs to be taken care. Some restructuring and structural reforms have to be taken care. Otherwise, I think the Sri Lankan economy has done very well.
And how, being close to India in proximity, has that helped Sri Lanka in its recovery?
I just mentioned this, when you must have seen in Europe also, you've seen in America also, countries go up together and then have trouble together. And if they stand together whenever there is a crisis, like a friend stands together, it's always helpful. In the region, we are the countries which are there. India is, of course, like the big brother in the region. And India, I think, played a very important role during this whole phase when Sri Lanka had a difficult time. They provided it with the support. About $4 billion were provided to Sri Lanka. I think that was a very positive thing because we are very close. The tourism industry plays a very important role, and the amount of tourists which go from India to Sri Lanka is a very important. Culturally, please remember we have very similar culture in our countries, so that provides lots of proximity to each other.
Indeed.
When
Okay.
when the debt restructuring was taking place, India was part of the official credit committee in some instances of debt restructuring and played a very important role during that time also. I also feel bilateral projects, investment, strategic positioning is important in terms of infrastructure, sustainable energy, basic services, and I think we need to build on that relationship. And that's the direction in which I see things are happening.
Right.
As I mentioned that culturally we are quite close, there is
Indeed.
softness of barriers. And in this time when global uncertainty is so high, the gravity model of trade and tourism helps
Okay.
with a neighbor which is nearby, prosperous, and interacting with each other.
We leave it there. Thank you very much, Professor Charan Singh. Thank you for helping us understand these two subjects in greater detail.